I was just looking at this headline in The Independent, and it inspired a post about Meghan because apparently this man was arrested after footage went viral over a verbal racist attack in a town center. And he's 55 years old, and he was arrested on suspicion of racially aggravated public order offenses. And it came as distressing footage of a group of women being racially abused as they walked through Romford in East London on Saturday afternoon. And the women were Muslim and, you know, and pulling shopping trolleys are heard being forced to defend themselves when a white man in glasses approached them on South Street and launched his attack. And, you know, it inspired a post that I wanted to talk about. But at the same time, obviously, let's start by saying that this man does not represent every single person in England or London, and he certainly doesn't represent everyone who is described as white in society. Obviously, not. That's not what I'm saying. But I do think that there is a xenophobic, um, there's a xenophobic sort of seed, if you will. I can't think of a better word, that is deeply ingrained in the DNA of many people in England and perhaps in London. And it goes way back. They have raging xenophobia. And again, it's not 100% of the people, right? But I would say that the vast majority has some percentage of it, some sort of, what's the word, not percentage, but they have at least a little bit of it. But then I say to myself, maybe that's true for all human people. Like we prefer those who look like us, and we prefer those who come from where we come from. There's something that is embedded in the DNA of every human, and perhaps it's not even fair to single out Brits, but I think Brits have an extra dose of it. They have an extra dose of it. And I think that's what happened with people like Wallis Simpson and now we have the Duchess of Sussex, Meghan, is that they don't like outsiders coming in and, you know, being a part of their society as if they are equals. You know what I'm saying? Yes, you can be there, but you need to know your place. You're never going to be equal. You're at the very bottom of their shoe, and you stay there and you basically thank them for it, and you better be grateful. The minute you get into a situation where you seem to be equal to them, they become completely unhinged. I mean, if you look at Wallis Simpson, I mean, I haven't studied this woman's history in depth, but I have yet to hear one horrible thing that that woman actually did, one horrible thing that she said, one horrible place that she was found where she was not supposed to be. They have nothing on Wallis Simpson, yet they have spent almost a century, okay, lambasting this woman, blackballing this woman, calling her every conceivable name in the book, teaching their children and their children's children to carry on this hatred, so that if you mention that name even to a 10-year-old in UK, they know she is a hated woman. They are supposed to hate her, and so therefore they do. Why do they hate this woman, right? I mean, it wasn't even like she was biracial like the Duchess of Sussex. This was a white woman, right? But she wasn't British. She was not British. And in the end, it is intolerable for them to imagine themselves subject to someone who is not British, to be placed in a situation where someone who's not British is on the throne as their queen, which is ironic because the Windsors are not even, British. They're German. This is a German family. But I think that Germans are considered, these white Anglo-Saxon Protestants. I mean, they have this sense of a hierarchy, and traditionally they have seen the Germans as being superior even to them, you know, because of their sort of Aryan Anglo sort of features and the ultra this and the ultra that. So they tolerated it. But as a general rule, they don't tolerate um, foreigners very well, I find. And I think that that is at the root of the hatred of the Duchess of Sussex. I mean, the Duchess of Sussex committed additional sins and they were horrible. I mean, she has a mother with dreadlocks. I mean, this is just like, it's bad enough she's American, right? And it's bad enough she's divorced. But now you're going to come in here with a black mother with dreadlocks? I mean, she wasn't even the first lady of the United States, for God's sake. She's just an ordinary woman with dreadlocks. And you expect us to put you above us, to call you your Royal Highness, your Majesty, to curtsy to you? You're not even British, for God's sake. You're not even British. But even if you were British, you have a mother with dreadlocks. Are you crazy? I think that is what is at the root of the hate of Meghan for a lot of these people who really hate her on a visceral, granular level. It's real. The hatred is real. And I think it comes down to raging xenophobia. What this man is doing here, it just boiled over for him. It's in the hearts and chest of a lot of people like him living in England, but they contain it and they pull in their noses and they go on. But it drives them absolutely bonkers to see certain people in their streets. For this man, it just became altogether too much. And of course, he's 55 years old. So I'm sure that it took a long time for him to reach his boiling point of just seeing these people in the streets. They're not British. Get out of here, is what he's saying. Whether he doesn't care where they were born, they're not white Anglo-Saxon Protestants who are also British, right? I think a lot of their problem is raging xenophobia, and it's something that has to be untaught. They need to unteach this from the time these children are born because it's a societal problem. It's deep and they all have it because what happens is even when people come in, let's say they come from Africa or something like that, they take on a xenophobic bent. I don't know if it's from consuming the news or whatever, but they too become infected with this malaise. It's an illness. It's an illness and it's serious. And that was what happened to poor Wallis Simpson and the Duchess of Sussex, Meghan. This needs to be untaught.